They say everyone has a price. Alastair Corp knew mine down to the penny. The recruiter, slick as oil, slid the contract across the polished table, promising numbers that would vaporize my debt and leave enough behind to actually breathe again. I signed. Didn't blink, didn't ask the questions clawing at my throat. No choice, I told myself. The bills were a tidal wave, collection agencies, sharks in the water, and my sister's calls, those late night calls, her voice tight with worry about Mom's chemo. Every other door was slammed shut. Mistakes, I'd made a career out of them. This job was a goddamn lifeline, even with the whispers about the facility, the missing personnel, the breach, whatever the hell that was twisting my gut. Alastair Corp wasn't hiring, they were selecting. And they'd selected me. Desperation practically radiated off in the day I walked into their chrome and glass office, wearing a suit from Goodwill and clutching a resume that was fossilized. The recruiter didn't even pretend to look at it. Forget the past, Mr. Sterling. He'd said, his smile too sharp, too precise to be real. We're interested in your future. Sign here, and I guarantee it'll be brighter. Brighter. Funny how words twist. It wasn't until my first day at Site Echo that I understood the kind of bright they were talking about. The place was brutalist concrete and steel, all function, zero comfort, a fortress built to contain something. Something most of us grunts weren't supposed to understand, beyond the training manual's dry warning unstable anomaly. Do not approach. Follow containment protocols. Simple, right? Keep your head down, clock in, clock out, grab the paycheck. That's been the mantra for 6 months. But nights like tonight, the guilt gets loud. The shit I've done to land here, the corners cut, the lies told, the people burned. They're not buried. They're shadows, always there, whispering in the quiet, reminding me I took the easy way out. Sold off pieces of myself for this paycheck. Tonight wasn't supposed to be one of those nights. Logistics, that's all. Empty some old storage units, inventory the contents, and get out before the breach, or whatever the hell, gave me another reason to hate myself. Grunt work, not glamorous, but straightforward. Except it wasn't. Not tonight. Heading into Sector Gamma, flashlight beam cutting through the dimness, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The air felt thick, heavier, like the whole facility was holding its breath. The usual mechanical hum was deeper, vibrating in my chest, and the lights, Christ, the lights here always flickered. But tonight they were practically strobing, dying and sputtering like they were fighting to stay on. Down the corridor, the steel walls were the same dull grey, but they felt different. Closer, like they were pressing in, suffocating the space. Just another shift, I muttered, gripping the flashlight tighter. 6 months I'd been saying that. Tonight the words were hollow. Boots clanging on the grated floor, the sound echoing sharp, swallowed by a silence that felt endless. I stopped. Something in the back of my skull screamed, listen. And then I heard it. The air wasn't just heavy, it was wrong. Cold, electric, pressing against my skin like the air before a storm. And in the silence, just at the edge of hearing, a low, rhythmic thrum. Heartbeat. Imagination, I told myself. Guilt and exhaustion playing tricks. But another step, and the feeling slammed into me. I wasn't alone. Something was watching, waiting. 1 foot in front of the other. That's how you survive. The silence narred, every step echoing louder, bouncing down the corridor like a signal. Flashlight beam swept ahead, cutting through the gloom, but the shadows, they shifted, just out of reach, curling and unfurling like they were alive. Darkness that watched, predator circling, waiting for you to stumble. Hesh it aside. Storage run, I whispered, my voice a thin comfort. Jetting get out. The hum beneath my boots deepened, suddenly a low, guttural vibration that made the floor shudder, froze. Breath hitched. Flashlight wavered, beam casting jagged, erratic shadows, then silence worse than the vibration, swept the light again. First storage unit door, faint outline in the beam. Almost there. Get it over with. Back to the break room, bad coffee, pretending I wasn't a rabbit in a snare. Another step, foot caught, flashlight flickered, beam dipping to the floor. Loose stray tool. No. Something else. Smear of dark wet streaks glistening faintly, not oil. Colour wrong. Too deep, too red. Stomach clenched. Nope. I muttered, shaking my head. Not my problem. Not in the job description. But even as I said it, I was crouching, light tracing the streak. Back down the corridor, around the corner I'd just come from. And there, at the edge of the beam, a single boot, lying on its sided, dropped, stood us, pulse hammering, turn around, pretend I hadn't seen it, but the boot stuck in my mind. Not random equipment. New. Clean. Someone had been here. Recently. Get it together, Sterling. I hissed through gritted teeth. Do the damn job. Turned back to the door. Handle cold, slick under my glove. Twisted. Mechanism clicked softly. Pushed it open. Flashlight into the storage unit normal. At first glance, metal shelves, crates stacked, dust coating everything. But the air different, stifling, heavy, faint, burnt, sweet smell, tightening my throat. Scuffs on the floor, faint, like something heavy dragged recently. Stepped inside, swallowing hard. Door creaked shut behind me. Warning. Fine. I told myself inventory. Just a job. Started down the aisles, scanning labels, trying to shut down my brain and last. First sound, faint. Rhythmic tapping. Froze. Hair on my neck pricked the walls. Not the floor, behind me. Turned slowly, flashlight shaking, beam sweeping shelves and crates. Nothing. Tapping stopped. Hello. My voice cracked, echoing. Stranger's voice. No response. Nervous laugh, hollow, weak. Nothing. Just imagination. But hands tightened on the flashlight. Turned back to the crates, scanning labels faster, breath shallow. Not faying it now. Sharp, deliberate, closer. Right behind me. Spun around, flashlight beam whipping through the air. And then I saw it. Just a flicker. Shadow, impossibly long. Slipping around the shelf corner, gone. Heart hammered. Hey! I shouted, voice shaking the silence. Who's there? No answer. Backed up toward the door, eyes darting between shelves. Air heavier, pressing on my skin, ocean weight. Burnt, sweet smell stronger, filling lungs, churning stomach. Flashlight beam flickered, light struggling to hold steady. Tapping again. Luder, faster. Moving, circling the we're in nowhere. Then, silence. Frozen, silence pressing in physical thing. Breath hitched, fingers numb on the flashlight. And then a voice. Faint. Whispering, atching familiar. Danielle. The sound of my name stopped me cold. Not just a voice. Her voice soft. Lilting, the way it used to be when she called me in for dinner. Or told me to get my ass out of bed for school. Danny again, closer, threading through the silence like it belonged there. Chest tightened, breath caught. Flashlight quivered, beam jerking across crates and empty shelves. My brain screamed leave, get the hell out of this room, but my legs, they wouldn't move. Mom! The whisper tore from my throat before I could stop it. Felt alien, that word. She was gone. Over a year. This couldn't be real. The voice didn't answer, but it didn't need to. The way it hung in the air, curling around me like a thread I couldn't see, was answer enough. It was her. I was sure of it. Swallowed hard, took a step forward. Boots tapping on the grated floor, unnaturally loud. Flashlight beam flickered, light dimming, then snapping back. The storage room seemed to stretch, walls pulling away, like I'd stepped into a space bigger than it should be. Mom. Loader this time, voice cracking, hating how small it sounded. No voice. Just a hum. Loginal tune shivered down my spine. Lullaby. Her lullaby. The one she sang when I was a kid. Nights I couldn't sleep. Back when I thought she could chase away monsters just by being there. Followed the sound, deeper into the room. Burnt sweet smell stronger, cloying. Sticking to the back of my throat like syrup. Air thicker, harder to breathe. Faint vibration beneath my boots returned, matching the rhythm of her humming. Where are you? I called out, voice breaking. Why are you here? No answer, just the hum, drifting from ahead, pulling me forward. Logic screamed stop. Turn around, get out. But something elsey desperate, fractured part of me, buried since the funeral, kept moving. What if it really was her? Chance to see her again. Say all the things left unsaid. Flashlight beam caught something at the far end of the room. Doorway. Hadn't noticed it before. Not like the others, polished steel, glowing control panels. This one was dark, surface rough uneven, like carved from the wall itself. Humming louder here, so close now, felt like it was inside me, vibrating in my chest. Reached out, hand trembling, pushed the door open. Room beyond, nothing like the storage unit. Walls weren't metal anymore, darker organic. Pulsing faintly, green light seeping from somewhere above, vein-like structures crisscrossing the walls, twisting branching like roots of some enormous tree. Air heavy with that sickly sweet smell, floor soft, spongy under my boots. Daniel, the voice. Again. Not ahead, behind. Spun around, flashlight beam cutting through darkness. Storage room gone, doorway gone. Nothing behind me now but more of those pulsing walls, stretching endlessly. Panic clawed at my chest. What the hell is this? I muttered, stumbling back, breath shallow gasps, heartbeat pounding in my ears. Retry steps. Tried. But the more I moved, the more the room shifted. Walls pulsed faster, green light flickering like a heartbeat, and then I saw it. Figure in the distance, barely visible through the green glow. small shadowed but familiar, the way it stood. Tilt of its head, Mom, voice shaky, whisper, hesitant step forward. Spongy floor squished. Figure didn't move, but the humming grew louder, wrapping around me like a blanket. Closer I got, clearer the figure. Her. All looked like her. Back to me, hair dark curls I remembered, shoulders hunched, familiar way like carrying the world. Mum, I said again, voice breaking. It's me, as she turned, slowly. Movements are naturally smooth, like pulled by invisible strings. Face came into view. Breath caught, eyes, smile. Way she looked at me, like I was still her little boy, not the broken thing I'd become. But something wrong. Couldn't place too wide. Smile too still, like someone took a memory of her, twisted it just enough to be wrong. Daniel, she said, voice warm, familiar. You came back, wanted to believe it. So badly, ash in my chest. But the way she looked, head tilted just a little too far, voice lingering like an echo stomach churned. Her words caught in my throat. I missed you. Before I could finish, walls shifted. Veins pulsed violently, green light flaring. Smile widened, stretching too far, splitting the edges of her face until it wasn't a smile anymore. You shouldn't have come here, she said, voice warping, splitting into layers not hers. You shouldn't have looked. Stumbled back, flashlight flickering wildly as the figure, not my mother, began to dissolve, shape twisting into something darker, formless. And then the voice again, not hers, mine. Daniel whispered soft, mocking. You're already home. I woke up gasping, cold metal biting into my back, storage unit floor, flashlight beside me, beam weak, sputtering, casting long dancing shadows. For a moment didn't move. Chest heaving, body trembling. Last thing I remember, that voice, that smile. But couldn't have been real, none of it. Hands shot to my chest, fingers clutching my uniform, anchoring myself. Heavy scent of burnt sweetness still lingered, clawing at my throat. Pushed myself upright, grated floor creaking. Room silent now, oppressively so, broken only by the faint hum of the facility systems. Distant. Glanced around dim flashlight beam, tracing the storage unit. Shelves still there, crates stacked, metal walls cold, unyielding. Everything exactly as it was when I'd walked in. But something was wrong. The door. Open but different. Too still. Too perfect. Like it had been waiting for me to notice. Eyes darted to the floor, searching for the streaks, the boot. Nothing. Smooth, unmarked metal. Swallowed hard, throat dry. No, I whispered, shaking my head. Withdraw it. I heard her. But the more I said it, the less certain I felt. The what of it green light, pulsing walls, her faces slipping away, unraveling like frayed rope. Harder I tried to hold on, the more they dissolved. Fragments, shadow here, whisper there. Her eyes, wide, unnatural, staring into mine. Grabbed the flashlight, staggered to my feet, legs weak. Heart pounded as I looked around again, searching for something, anything, to prove I wasn't losing my mind. Focus sterling, I muttered, voice shaking. You're still here, you're still here. But where was here? Still in the storage unit. Or had I the thought jolted panic? Stumbled toward the open door, flashlight a lifeline. Hallway beyond, dim, lights flickering sporadically. Hesitant step forward, boots clanging on the grated floor. Froze. Sound echoed back, distorted, like it travelled too far, stomach twisted. Corridor looked the same, cold, stern, endless. But something wrong. Stretched, subtly beyond understanding. Hello? Voice cracked, trembling in the air. No response. Not even the faint hum of machinery I'd grown used to. Another step, then another, each heavier. Corridor stretched ahead, impossibly long, walls curving inward, guiding me somewhere I didn't want to go. Flashlight flickered again, beam dimmer. Smacked it against my palm, cursing under my breath, moved on. Whispers started again. Faint at first, barely audible over my breathing, but they grew louder, more distinct, words slipping through the cracks of my thoughts like smoke. Daniel froze. Breath hitched. Voice was hers again. Soft, familiar, wrapping around me like a memory I couldn't escape. Mum, barely a whisper, but echoed down the corridor like a shout. This time she didn't call my name. She laughed, warm, a gentle laugh from long ago, catching me sneaking cookies, staying up past bedtime. But here, in the silence, were hollow. Like someone mimicking her failing. Step back, hands trembling. You're not real, I said, voice cracking. You're not. Why did you leave us, Daniel? Voice closer now, cutting me off. Not just hers anymore. Layered, fractured, echoing with tones that didn't belong. Why didn't you save me? Flashlight sputtered, died. Corridor plunged into darkness. Swore again, fumbling for the switch. Wouldn't turn back on. Pulse thundered, frozen in pitch black. Whispers grew louder, closing in. Not just hers now. Mine, distorted mocking, overlapping with hers chaotic symphony. Why didn't you save us, Daniel? You left them. You always leave. No! No! I choked out, clutching the dead flashlight. I didn't have a choice. Laughter again, sharp, piercing, cutting through the darkness. Then, whisper stopped. Deafening silence, shaky step forward, hands outstretched, searching for walls. Fingers brushed cold metal, but texture shifted, softening, pulsing. Jerked hand back, stomach lurching. Corridor wasn't metal anymore. I live. Whispers returned louder, flooding my mind. Stumbled back, tripping, falling hard onto the floor. Impact rattled through me, barely felt it over the roar of voices. Daniel, they hissed all at once. Come home, and then silence. Voices louder, whispers gone. Flashlight flickered back to life in my hand. Beam cutting through darkness, back in the storage unit. Same cold, sterile walls, neatly stacked crates. But heart wouldn't stop racing. Faint scent of burnt sweetness lingered. Staggered to my feet, flashlight tethering me to reality. Knees wobbled, leaned against shelves for support, breath ragged. Didn't know it was real anymore. But one thing I knew, I wasn't alone. Whatever was watching, waiting wasn't done with me yet. Leaned against the cold metal shelf, knuckles white, flashlight beam wavering. Tremor in my hands, tried to tell myself it was over. Exhaustion. Whispers, shadows, tricks of stress, adrenaline, didn't believe it. Not for a second. Room felt alive. Watching, breathing, air heavy, suffocating, burnt, sweet smell stronger, clawing into my lungs. Every fibre of me screamed, get out, couldn't move. Not yet. Thoughts boiling over, flooding with guilt. I didn't ask for this, I whispered, voice hoarse. It's not my fault, words bitter on my tongue. I didn't have a choice. I couldn't save her. Sound of my voice small, fragile, swallowed by the oppressive silence. Chest heaved, breath ragged, memories clawing up, hospital room, sterile white walls, machines hooked to her frail body. The way she looked at me in those last days. Not anger, not blame, sadness, like she knew I'd failed. I tried, I said louder now, as if the walls needed to hear. I tried. Nothing I could do. What was I supposed to do? Magic money. Cure her myself? Words echoed back, hollow, cruel. Clenched fists, nails digging into palms, anger surging, hot, bitter. It wasn't my fault. Spitting venom. I had to take the job. I had to. She's gone. And it's not my... A sound cut through the silence. Sharp grinding. Froze. Anja drained away. Soft scraping at first, like nails on metal. Loader, closer, deliberate. Far corner of the storage unit. Flashlight beam trembled as I swung it toward the sound. Crates at the far end seemed to shift in the light, edges blurring, distorting. Scraping stopped, replaced by a low, wet slithering. Stomach turned. Brett, something moved. Shadow, impossibly large, sliding across the floor. Stretched, twisted like smoke, edges flickering, but it had weight. Could hear it dragging itself closer, floor creaking. No, I whispered, step back, legs like jelly, heart hammering. No, this isn't real. This is a no. Stopped, shadow stillness. Air thick, breathing through a straw. Then it rose. Shadow stretched upward, unraveling into a towering, amorphous shape scraping the ceiling. Tendrils of darkness spilled out, breathing, twitching. Flashlight flickered violently as the thing took shape, coalescing into something almost human. Long, twisted torso, too many arms. Face empty void, drinking in the light. Stumbled back, hitting shelves, flashlight slipping, clattering to the floor, spinning wildly, casting distorted shadows that made it worse. Void face tilted toward me. And then it spoke. Daniel, voice was hers again. Mother's, but a layered, warped, grotesque mockery of the voice I loved me. You always leave. No, I choked, shaking my head. No, I didn't. I didn't leave you. There was nothing I could do. Thing moved closer, many arms reaching. Tendrils dragging on the floor, sick wet sound. You could have tried harder, it hissed. Voice shifting, breaking apart into a dozen others. Some familiar hers, mine others I didn't recognize, all speaking with the same venomous certainty. You didn't care enough. I did, I shouted, voice cracking. I cared. I did everything I could. Don't you think I wanted to save her? Don't you think I would have given anything, everything to make it stop? Things stopped just short of me. Many arms trembling, twisting into shapes I couldn't understand. Void, face leaned closer, cold radiating off it. Then why? It whispered, voice soft, deadly. Carry you here, and she's not. Couldn't answer. Words lodged in my throat, choking me as guilt, buried so long, rose like bile. Knees buckled, sank to the floor, trembling. I didn't mean to, I whispered, tears burning. I didn't mean to leave her. Thing leaned closer still, void face inches from mine. Many arms reached, rushing against my shoulders, face, chest. Touch cold, invasive, peeling away layers of me searching. You belong to me now. It said, voices blending into a single inhuman tone. You'll never leave. Tendrils wrapped around me, pulling me closer, tighter, suffocating. Vision blurred, green light I thought I'd left behind seeped into the edges of my sight, pulsing, twisting, dragging me down into the dark. And then I screamed. Tendrils tightened, dragging me deeper, cold, suffocating dark. Scream echoed, vanished, swallowed by the void as the thing's many voices murmured, hissed in my ears. Felt myself unraveling, piece by piece, thoughts scattering, memories slipping through my fingers like sand. Walls of the world fell away. For a moment, nothing but pulsing green like, rhythmic, alive, beating like a heart. Thought it was over, wanted it to be over. But then I woke up. First thing I felt, cold, smooth vibrating faintly under my hands. Not grated metal of the storage unit, something else. Breath shallow gasps, open my eyes, squinting against harsh green light. Vast, cavernous chamber. Ceiling disappeared into the glow. Walls alive with movement, writhing tendrils, vein-like structures pulsing with that sickly green light. Twisted, coiled, merged, split like breathing. Very thick, heavy, electric hum thrumming through my chest. Second heartbeat. Sat up slowly, body atching, mind reeling. Chamber stretched endlessly. Floor seamless expanse of dark, glassy material reflecting the glow. Center of it all the tear, the breach. Not just a crack, like the protocols said. Massive. Towering, pulsating mass of light and shadow twisting, churning impossible patterns. Tendrils of green energy snaked out, coiling into walls, floor, air. Looking at it, stomach churned, vision blurred. Mind couldn't grasp it. Scrambled back, palms slipping on the smooth floor. No matter how far, the breach loomed, pulling, invisible force. Presence overwhelming, suffocating, pressing into my mind, whispering things I couldn't understand. This can't be real, I muttered, voice shaking, but I knew. Burnt, sweet smellback, stronger, clinging to skin, filling lungs. Body trembled as the breach pulsed again, green light flaring, casting long, twisting shadows, sound echoed. Low, resonant groan from the breach itself, not just noisance, presence. Wait, threatening to crush me. Air vibrated, power in my bones, teeth, thoughts. Dainy elf. The voice again, not whisper. Raw, layer fragmented, shaking the chamber, rattling my skull. Everywhere and nowhere. Filling space, like always been there, waiting. Clamped hands over ears, useless. Voice wasn't just air, inside me, burrowing into my mind, pulling at sanity. You've always belonged here, it said, words vibrating through me. You've always been mine. No, I shouted, voice breaking. I don't belong to you. I didn't ask for this. Breach pulsed again, light dimmed, eerie half darkness. Shadows moved on walls, twisting shapes I couldn't understand. Faces, hands, fragments of things that shouldn't exist. Reached toward me, forms flickering, dissolving like smoke, but I felt their presence, their hunger. You left her, the voice said, shifting, warping.
You left everyone you are.
I didn't leave her. I screamed, voice raw. I didn't mean to. Breach flared violently, green light washing over me, burning eyes. Memories surged unbidden, mother in hospital bed, hand weak in mine, last conversation. Promised to do better, fix things, come back. Then I left, pressed hands to temples, shaking head, blocking memories, light, voice. It wasn't my fault, I whispered, words crumbling. It wasn't my fault. Breach seemed to laugh, energy rippling through the chamber. Tendrils around me shifted, moving closer, curling inward. One stretched toward me, stopping short of my chest, hovering, pulsing. Then it spoke. Not words. Memorages. Younger me. Bedside. Head bowed. Mother's voice faint, kind. Telling me it wasn't my fault. I'd done all I could. Memory shifted, twisting. Her face blurred, voice warping darker. You let me go, she said. Voice cold, sharp. You left me alone. No, I whispered, tears burning. No, that's not there. Tendril lashed out, wrapping around my wrist. Cold, invasive touch, sinking in, pulling at my thoughts. I screamed, wrenching arm. Tendril held firm, grip tightening. You are mine, the breach roared, voice shaking the chamber. You've always been mine. Green light flared, blinding. Felt myself falling into the breach. Endless, hungry void, then everything still. Opened my eyes, standing, chamber gone. Sterile flickering lights of the facility corridor. Flashlight in hand again, beam steady, cutting through dimness. Air cold, metallic, burnt sweet smell, faint memory. Looked around, heart hammering. Corridor empty, silent, like nothing happened. Turn, eyes caught reflective surface of a control panel. Breath froze. Face staring back wasn't mine, not entirely. Daniel. Breaking news ticker at the bottom of the panel flickered to life. Daniel. Thank you BE. Ekinabus. Alastair Corp unveils evolutionary product amid tragedy January 7th. 2025 by Catherine Hayes, Associated Press. Alastair Corp, global leader in advanced energy solutions and defense technologies, announced T.